All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Be careful. I had a week vacation, and I'm fired up. I'm alive and full of energy. So, on-time drive. Who didn't sign in?
Right here.
I didn't.
You're both out of luck.
I didn't. I was on front.
All right. It's called an on-time drawing for a reason. And you were here on time.
You didn't specify in this room.
So what's the number? 14?
Oh. Well, I didn't.
All right. The winning number is number 4, everybody. Who's number 4? Amy.
Me?
Yeah. What do you win?
She needs to join us.
Oh, really?
She's not even officially here yet. It was not rigged.
Okay,
It's a
thank
notepad, a couple of great Be Golden BU
Oh
pins.
my God, that's a
and a
good
pen.
sign.
It's a good sign. So
I like her.
we're talking after the meeting about her joining. Do y'all think she should join?
Yes.
That's just the
It's a
first
sign,
thing.
it's a
Southwest.
sign.
Southwest.
Yeah, which office is the best office?
Southwest.
I got them all trained. All right, so pull out your phones, take a selfie, take a picture of me, and check in on Facebook and make sure that you use the hashtags up here. Use 1, use 2, use 5, I don't care. But use the hashtags to check in on Facebook. Let's talk about some rev up. Oh, look.
Fired up today.
She loves herself. Let's talk about some rev up training. So, today, we moved yesterday's training today because yesterday I was on vacation. Today I'm back. Your database, your business, and creating your online presence. It's going to be here at 1 o'clock. Then tomorrow is module 4, the sales cycle of effective client communication. Again, it's going to be here and on Zoom, but it's much better live. There is no Monday because Monday is a holiday. Next Wednesday is residential purchase agreement. And next Friday is working with buyers and getting your offers accepted. That's all our rev ups over the next little over a week or so. Next up, before we get to hydration, I want to introduce Jessica Goody. She is running for, well, I'll let her tell you.
It's always nice when they introduce myself, so I don't have to. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Goody. I am running for Las Vegas Justice Court Department 6. So I'm running for judge. You guys might know my husband, Tony Garassi. He is your guys' local attorney. He works with corporate in out of California, and so I know Alex, and then I met Kuba at the summit, and he offered me the opportunity to come in and speak to all the offices to let you guys know who I am, what I do, and why I'm running. So how many of you guys have received your sample ballot, look at the judges, and be like, who the hell are these people? Yeah, everybody? Me too. It's okay. So that's why I'm here, is to let you know who I am and why I'm running. The department I'm running for, so if you have Las Vegas in your address, I'm on your ballot. It's a nonpartisan race, so whether you're Democrat, Republican, or nonpartisan, I'm on your ballot. I'm on like 1.2 million people's ballots. I can't meet that many people, shake that many hands, kiss that many babies. I tried. People tell me to stay away from their kids. But so I try to come to these events and just talk to people and introduce myself. So the department I'm running for is Department 6 in the Justice Court. It is our lower level court, and the department that I'm running for specifically handles civil cases. So it's people suing other people for money, up to $15,000. So I have practiced as an attorney for 12 years, 9 of those as running my own practice. All of that has been in the civil realm. So handling the same types of cases I would be deciding as a judge. I think that's really important because a lot of people don't do that. So there are 3 other people in my department or running in my race, none of them have ever handled a civil case.
Oh, wow.
They wanna be your judge.
So if you live in unincorporated Clark County, you're not on my ballot?
Yes, if you have, when you write your address out, if it says Las Vegas,
Right.
I'm on it.
Okay.
So there is a race where it's just city limits, but I'm not quite countywide because I'm not in Henderson or Northtown. So anybody with Las Vegas and their address itself, I think they call it, they decide it by township, but
Right.
it's confusing. So
Okay.
if you write your address out and it says Las Vegas, I'm on your ballot. Any questions I can answer for you guys?
You're like our Judge Judy, but.
I'm sorry.
You're like our local judge.
Exactly. It's funny, I've already started thinking, I'm gonna win this election, then I'm gonna go on and then I'm gonna campaign as Judge Jess. So, we got this down. So for you guys, what's relevant, if you guys ever have any disputes about people not paying your commission, buyer broker agreements, any landlord tenant disputes, all of that generally comes to the justice court. So I've handled those types of cases, and then my husband handles your guys' cases on your behalf, generally, if you ever need to go to court. So, I serve as a judge, I serve as a fill-in judge right now in a couple of different courts, and so I'm already doing the job in my part-time, free time, it's not a thing right now. So I know what I'm doing, and I think it's good that we have qualified judges in there. So what I will do is I will leave some cards up at the front desk, it'll have my contact information on it, it has little QR codes, you can find my website. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I try to make myself available to each other, or to everyone. Early voting starts Saturday to June 10th, and then June 14th is the election. So if you haven't received your sample ballot, you may not be registered, you can still register to vote. You can actually do same-day registration, you just need to show up with your ID and get registered. If you have any questions about any of that, please reach out to me. Any questions I can answer for you right now?
What about foreclosures and liens?
I'm sorry?
What about foreclosures or liens?
Foreclosures generally don't come to my department because those involve more than $15,000, those go to the higher level. Liens, it kind of depends. It depends on the amount and what is being requested. If they're seeking to enforce and foreclose upon the lien, that's probably not me because I can't take property sitting in the lower court.
Okay,
I've handled those as an attorney, it's just not something I would be deciding as a judge.
I like it.
And all the judge positions are all nonpartisan, correct?
Correct, so we are not allowed to run on a Democratic or Republican platform because you don't want your judge, you don't wanna think your judge has their mind made up about something before you even walk into their courtroom, or that they're gonna decide a certain way based upon what they think your political party is, right? So I stay away from that. My job is to enforce the law as it's written, decide what the facts are based upon the evidence in front of me, and that's what I do.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Any other questions I can answer?
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me, it's a pleasure.
You got my vote.
You're seeing on the right side was my thing.
All right. Hydrating the homeless. In the past, we've done great with this. I mean, we've literally thousands and thousands of bottles of water for the homeless. We're off to a little slow start this time. I only see 3 cases of water that have, yeah. So I'm committing right here, right now. I'm gonna do 20 cases myself. So, you know, it's really not that big of an investment. A case of water is $3 or $4. So, yeah.
Here, there's my contribution, get some more from me. Thank you.
Actually, no, seriously, you would get more, I mean, city money, you'd get more if we just gave you all this money,
Yeah.
for real.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. We actually did it last year because Richard organized, and we got like 3 pallets of water that we loaded into our vehicles and brought over. So, yeah, we have until, looks like the July 29th, but we really, you know, it's getting hot out there. It's getting hot. Newport Beach, it was so nice, came home like, oh my God. But yeah, so it's hot out there, they're homeless, let's see what we can do to help them out. So, who else is committed? Linda just committed.
Mine is in the garage.
I can afford it this year.
All right, so let's bring in the water. Okay, we have a blood drive coming up. I guess we're doing it 2 times a year now. Coming up on July 18th, the blood drive will be right here in this room. It's gonna be all day basically on
They
July.
did not want to take my blood last time. I was so disappointed. They told me my blood pressure sucks and I need to go home.
Well, get healthy so that you can get blood. I'll be here giving blood. They like my blood. They're calling me like once a week. They want my blood.
My daughter came up here.
What's that?
My daughter
Your daughter?
gets blood all the time, but she came up here.
Yeah. All right, next week's meeting is going to be Life of an Escrow. We're going to have our 4 escrow officers, Desiree, Debbie, Brad, and Eugenia. They'll all be here, and we will be peppering them with questions. So be here next week, bring your questions. I will have questions, and Felicia will have questions. We're going to be, Felicia and I will be moderating this, and there'll be the team. All right. Last Friday of every month is happy hour. What's tomorrow?
Happy hour.
Cheers.
So tomorrow between 3 and 5 will be happy hour. We will have snacks. We will have beverages, soda, maybe something a little harder. But yeah, it's a chance. You know, it's the end of the month, and it's a chance for us to just hang out and just do a little networking and you know, finish off the week of the month. So tomorrow, 3 to 5, be here. And then, it's already coming out, June 11th. Who has been to Spring Mountain Ranch to see a play there? Who has never even heard of Spring Mountain Ranch plays? Yeah. So, up in Spring Mountain Ranch, who doesn't know where Spring Mountain Ranch is? There's an amphitheater set up there. So there's a full-on amphitheater and a big grass area. They have full-on plays out there. They typically every year they do 3 plays. They have not done it the last 2 years, obviously because of the pandemic, but they are doing it. So Mary Poppins is the first play. We're organizing, and just go and order your tickets. They cost $20. I think the parking, they charge for parking now. I think that's $10 when you get there.
Can we bring on?
Yeah, you can bring anyone you want. It's open to the public. We have one of our agents is involved in that somehow. So he said, just let us know, and he will rope off an area for us. So it's a whole grass area. You can bring, you know, blankets to sit on. They rent chairs there for like $1 or something if you want the chairs. Shush. And you can bring your coolers with sandwiches or whatever dinner. They have food trucks there, and you can bring beverages. It just sounds like we're a bunch of alcoholics. Beverages, alcohol, adult beverages. All right.
I've been many times, it's a wonderful experience, it's an escape from the city, it's at the base of the mountains, so it's just very pleasant, and it's honestly a bargain.
And here's the thing, guys, is it could be over 100 degrees down here during the day. In the evening time up there, probably need a jacket.
It's actually
because
chilly.
it actually gets a little cool. So bring a jacket just in case, because
I'm excited.
it's a
But
little
most
cool.
importantly,
It's a
you're
lot of fun.
supporting the local artists. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a phenomenal opportunity to not only be entertained, but for them to give a great
And they've
show.
been on hiatus, so they're so
Yeah.
excited about this.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since they've been able, so we're excited.
It's a lot of fun.
I'll be there.
All right. Every Friday during 2022, we're doing a Team Spirit Friday. So wear your favorite sports team jersey. I have my favorite sports teams, and I'll bring out wear one of them tomorrow.
Go
Wait and see.
Packers.
Who?
Packers.
He's like, what?
Rams.
Oh,
Super Bowl
Packers.
championship
I
Rams.
just like,
All right.
I like Tom Brady.
All right, this is your weekly reminder
Yes.
about Remind. But it's not so much a reminder about Remind anymore, it's a reminder that transaction desk is going away. So just, you
So
know,
if we have a new listing, where are we supposed to put it now? In,
Remind, yeah. So transaction desk will be gone in September. September, it's gone. So the LVR is switching to Remind. However, we as a company are making SkySlope forms available where it's going to be like transaction desk or like Remind, but it's all within SkySlope. So you never, you know, like before, you needed to, you know, create it in transaction desk and then save it as a PDF and upload it into SkySlope. Now it's all going to be in SkySlope. So that is going to be rolled out sometime fairly soon. I got a peek at it. They've rolled it out. SkySlope rolled it out into Arizona, and I got a peek at it. It's very, very cool. It seems very easy to use, unlike Remind. So just, there's a reminder, transaction desk is going away. Hopefully, we'll get SkySlope forms prior to that happening, so we don't have to switch over to Remind and then switch over to SkySlope forms. I have a feeling it's gonna be within the next month or so that we're gonna have SkySlope forms.
So question on this, are we gonna be able to utilize SkySlope just like, almost like the transaction desk, where we can put actually our templates all together, all, and just
Yep.
pick one thing and it has a transaction set up
Yep.
for you? Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
I did hear that transaction is still gonna be around but for a fee.
Okay. If you wanna pay the fee,
Gotcha.
when this is free, yeah, and it's easy to use. Like I say, I got a peek at it, so it's very, very cool. I'm excited about this. I was not excited about Remind. I was not excited about having to tell you guys that you need to switch over to Remind, but this I'm very excited about, so.
But you're saying
Yep.
for stuff today, you still have to put it in Remind.
For right now, you can still use transaction desk.
Oh, you can?
Right now, you can use transaction desk or Remind. They're both running together.
So,
All right. Stacia. So, welcome Stacia from Old Republic Home Protection. She provided our breakfast this morning.
Hi, everyone. Excuse me. How's everybody doing?
Thank you.
Good. It's nice to see your faces today. I just wanted to kind of shift a little bit. We, our current policy is what is in place, and I just joined a committee at my company to help come up with some ideas for things that people might like to see as an option that's offered on home warranty policies. And I would really love a little feedback from you. If you have always wished, when you always write Old Republic on your RPAs for, you know, for the buyer to pay at this point probably, but you know, I would really love your feedback on items that you think would be good for me to present to Old Republic Home Protection that we might be able to offer on our next policy. And so, if you all have a pen and paper, if you'll write my email down, and I would love your feedback. I can't promise anything, I'm not that final decision maker, but I think that, you know, I know calls that I get, I know calls that you get, and just keep in mind that we are mechanical and system operations, so they probably aren't gonna offer like a glass replacement or something like that. But, you know, my email is Stacia B, which is STACIA B as in boy, @orhp.com. And I would really welcome your feedback on things that maybe a competitor offers, maybe just something that's always been a little thorn in your side, or just a smoke dream that we all have as far as something that we could maybe offer as an upgrade or part of a regular policy that you think would be beneficial for your clients.
minimize phone calls.
I'm actually not under transaction, and I've been looking for over, above ground spa as well as the sauna.
I don't have sauna coverage, but my pool spa coverage is whatever kind of pool you have.
And propane tanks on the older homes, in some of the locations the
Sure.
propane tanks have not been
Okay.
covered for,
I'm gonna-
throughout.
I hope you aren't offended
good
if I
one.
write it down also,
That is a
just
good one.
because, I like to think I'll remember and then I probably
Do you
won't.
cover septic tanks?
We do have an upgrade for
Yeah, septic tanks
septic
are pretty
and well.
common, but not the.
It's a pretty standard, like, one-time annual year, and we call it like a pump and dump. But we do offer that. So you said propane and you said
Propane tanks and then saunas.
saunas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you watch my face? Do you offer crane service for a new AC?
We cover, depending on the policy, we cover up to $250 for permits, or $100, or $100 Holloway. $250 for cranes, code upgrades, and code upgrades, permits, and crane. Sorry, there's three. So up to $250 per call, not per contract year, but per call.
Not per unit either, because some houses.
Right, I have no limit on the number of AC units that we cover. They just have to be 5,000 tons or less, because anything over 5,000 tons is considered commercial, and we don't do commercial.
All right, so take down her
So
email
please do
address
that.
and email with any ideas. I think this is great that they're actually going to listen to us and possibly add things on that.
I love the feedback, because the more that I can come with, just the potential more benefit for you and your clients. And then, I'm not gonna take a lot of time, but I just wanted to read something, because, as we get into summer, we can kind of, things get frazzled, kids are out of school, there's more traffic, and so, just gonna leave you with a parting thought. And it has nothing to do with the warranties. It says, believing you can, though you might not. Believing you can't won't change that you can, it just hides it. Whereas simply getting started, however timid your first steps are, and consistently moving in the direction of your dreams day after day, will eventually create such unstoppable momentum, you'll find it nearly impossible to believe that there was ever a time when you wavered. Give them something to talk about.
Yes.
You're my.
Thank you so much for your time. If you are not currently using somebody that you like, trust, or have confidence in for a home warranty, I'd love the opportunity for a policy with you.
Thanks,
Thank
Stacy.
you.
Well said.
All right, real quick, I want to go over something. I don't have a slide for it, but this has been coming across my desk a lot, is the CIC package, or the HOA packages. I'm going to just read you what it says in the actual purchase agreement. If the property is subject to a common interest community, seller shall provide at seller's expense the CIC documents required by NRS 160. Now, we all know that the seller is supposed to provide these documents, right? It also goes on to say, this is the part, I have agents come to me and say, well, I'm just going to order this once the inspection comes in, or once the appraisal comes in. But it says in the contract, it said, seller shall request the resale package within 2 business days of acceptance and provide the same to buyer within 1 business day of seller's receipt. So we're supposed to order it within 2 business days going into contract. And when we get it, we need to get it to the buyer's agent within 1 day. Goes on to say, buyer may cancel this agreement without penalty until midnight of the 5th calendar day following the date of receipt of the package. So once the buyer receives it, they have 5 calendar days to basically back out if they don't like something in it.
And they literally can just.
For any reason.
Any reason.
Yep.
Any reason.
Yep.
They don't like page 2.
Even
Yep.
if they're out of their due diligence, they
Yep.
can cancel.
That's why it's so important to get it to the buyer as soon as possible. It also says, if buyer does not receive the resale package within 15 calendar days of acceptance, This agreement may be canceled in full by the buyer without penalty. So, know your timeframes in the contract.
And doesn't the clock start the next day? It doesn't start the day after,
Right.
correct?
Yep. So just know your timeframes. All right. Shawnee, just make sure Shawnee's right across there. She's here, but her office is right there with pretty cool graphics on the window now. Reach out to Shawnee for all your lending needs. Alicia, you got anything for us today?
Yeah, we always do.
Of course, come on.
And I would love for that too.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna introduce them.
Okay.
Can you tell this is like informal and then you do?
We're all about being informal.
We're gonna let you
No,
guys take
you
it.
go. No, you go.
Okay.
I didn't have anything to say, just came up to look pretty. Let me know if you guys need anything for your happy hour tomorrow. Be glad to provide some stuff.
Just be here.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for being here. For anybody that doesn't know me, my name's Brad Meringue. Been doing this for about 20 years or so, so it's not a whole lot that I haven't seen or done. Went through all the bad times back in the 2000s. So yeah, anything we don't. I think the only thing I don't do is like mobile homes, only because they're few and frequent and not much money in them. So it's probably the same reason why you guys don't do them. So anyway, that's me. Let me know if you guys have any questions. We're in the Southwest office. Yeah, reach out to us anytime.
I'm Eugenia. A lot of you know me already. With some of you, we're working together. That's awesome. So hopefully we'll continue to work together. Anything you guys need, I'm always there. I try to be here almost every Thursday. If you guys need help with anything, any questions, remember I'm also bilingual. I speak Spanish, so that can help too with a future Hispanic client. So once again, anything, I'm there for you guys.
And I just wanna say I'm super proud to work with them because for them to pull themselves away from an escrow desk, especially at the month end, to be able to be here for you guys is amazing. So please, we appreciate all the support you can give them, and if you haven't tried them yet, please give them an escrow. Anybody wants a YouTube channel? Who's been procrastinating on YouTube channels? Okay. Today at 1 o'clock Zoom. Go to rockuniversity.com, okay? There is an invite link for today's Zoom. Once you fill it out, they'll send you back the link to join us at 1 o'clock today. Justin Taylor is gonna do YouTube, creating your YouTube channel and how to maximize it for your business. Awesome, don't miss it. They're all recorded, yep. Don't forget, your One Rockstars is on Mondays at 1, and that's specific and special for you guys as Realty One agents. But today, Rock University, there's a link to sign up, okay? And we'll be in the bullpen.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thursdays at 1, Mondays at 1.
Yes.
All right. We're not gonna do stats. All right, come on up. We have tips for preserving your home's value. Larry from Bridge Home Inspections.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Happy to be back. I actually came in last week because I got my calendar screwed up. I came in and I said, hey, I'm ready for the meeting. He goes, no, next week. So luckily, I had a inspection just down the street, commercial building. It wasn't a wasted trip. So I brought some props. And I want to talk to you just about how to preserve your home's value with real simple tips. Try not to bore you, try to make it fun. And there we go. Is that gonna work? Oh, the paint missing. Let's see here. Maybe not. Seems to be frozen. switch the pages here, it doesn't switch over there for some reason. We are connected.
Angel, where are you?
Yeah, last time I was here, there was a technical person.
His name is Angel. He's sitting in the back.
Daniel,
Sure.
ayúdame, por favor. This is just a test, I guess. All right, well, maybe if we look at this point of view, it'll work, so. Sorry about that. Anyway, my subtitle was Run Your Home, Don't Let It Run You. So, what I've found in the home inspection business, just real quick, I know I introduced myself last time I was here. Bridge Home Inspections, the largest home inspection company in Nevada, 28,000 plus houses inspected. Master inspector, there are 7 master inspectors in Southern Nevada. I'm one of them. I'm also the president of the Association of Home Inspectors here. And I tell you these things not to brag, but just to tell you that I've been there, I've done that, I've seen it. I've met with thousands and thousands and thousands of buyers and sellers alike. I've handled unimaginable situations, and I've been on thousands of roofs, and I know what the common problems are that you run into in your transaction. So I know that you guys are trying to get your transactions done, and you have 1,000 little hurdles to overcome, and the home inspection is one more thing that has to be done, and sometimes it's presented as a hurdle. Sometimes it's presented as a challenge or something that can stop a transaction from happening. And so I feel like if the more you know about it, the less of a hurdle it is. So when somebody sees on their inspection report that there was 3 broken tiles, some people think right away, oh my God, I need a new roof. It's gonna be 10, 15 grand. But we, experienced people in Las Vegas know that every house has that, right? We know that that's not a deal killer. That's not gonna stop a transaction from happening. And so I have a couple of examples. So most of our roofs here are tile roofs. They're good for 50 years. That's the expected life expectancy of a tile roof, 50 years. And they can last a lot longer than that if they're maintained. So a shingle roof, typically 20 to 30 years. And if you're in a neighborhood with shingle roofs, what do you know about that neighborhood?
It's a little older.
It's a little older. Probably built in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And if you're in a neighborhood with tile roof, yeah, probably 90s and newer, right? So that's one of the key things that we notice. And then these flat roofs, they can be even older. And this is a common problem we see with shingle roofs, right? They get a little wind damage. So they fold over. That's not so bad. It's not gonna be a deal killer. It's probably not even gonna leak, but it's gonna be on the report. So I was here for that presentation when the guy from the water company was here, the water district. It was pretty interesting. And so we don't get a lot of rain here. I've seen it go 6, 8 months with almost nothing. And then it can really light you up. So people get very complacent about their roofs. They don't maintain them. They don't ever send anybody up there. I recently sent a guy onto my roof who, I don't know if I told this story, but I had a ladder on top of my truck, and I tried to park my truck in the garage with the ladder. And at the last second, I hit the brakes, but it was enough force that it broke 2 tiles on the edge of my overhang of the roof. So I called the roofing guy. It was $300 just to get him to show up, basically. And he replaced about 4 or 5 broken tiles throughout the roof. Those 2 that I broke, he did really quickly, but he went up on the rest of the roof and he just did a tune-up. He called it a roof tune-up. And he sealed things with caulk, and he replaced a couple of tiles. And then he did a neat trick where, like, he didn't have the exact perfect color, or the tile that he had was different, well, it was newer. So he took one from an area that you couldn't see, he used that in the front of the house, and then he took the newer looking one and put it in the back. And so I thought that was kind of cool.
What roofing company was that?
Redstone Roofing. He is a single guy. It's a one-man band.
Does he do repairs for,
He does repairs.
home warranties, not home warranties, home inspections?
He does. I've given out his name several times. He prefers to text. He does speak, in my opinion, he speaks perfectly good English, but he is a little, he prefers Spanish. But he can text perfectly in English, and, but his name is Javier Lomelli. Javier Lomelli he's a great guy. In fact, there's a roof on here that he worked on that I have a video of. We don't have sound, so I'll dub it over, but it's pretty interesting. So this is a valley, right? People like, I got a valley on my roof? Yeah, anytime your roof goes like this, that's a valley. And in Vegas, a lot of times they look like this. They have that metal valley flashing in here, and then they're covered with tiles. Well, what happens is these things get full of crap. They get pieces of leaves, pine needles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you see that on your report, it's usually not like an immediate, drastic call for action, but it should be done. It's a maintenance item. If it doesn't happen, it can back up. And you can say, well, it doesn't look that bad. Well, check this out. So this is where those tiles have been removed. And this is the metal flashing. And it is just so full. And I was so glad that my inspector called this out, because it rained really, really hard, and enough water got in and it got under that flashing. And
So did he actually take the tiles off?
you just have to remove these, and they're not even glued or anything. They're just, you just slide them out, and then you replace them. After you know what they do is they use a leaf blower. They blow down those valleys. He got trash bags full of this stuff. So,
Gutters too. We just did our gutters.
yeah.
Same thing.
If there were more gutters in Vegas, it would need to be done a lot more, but nobody has gutters. So, it's so rare. All right, so that's valleys. So roof valleys, you're gonna see that, hey, there was debris in the roof valleys, we recommend that they be cleaned out. Maintenance item, if they're really, really full of stuff, they should be done. Ask the sellers to do it. All right, so flat roofs have what we call roll roofing. There you go, there's why it's called roll roofing. And you can't put shingles on a flat roof, even if the roof has an incline, a little tiny incline. That's why you can't put shingles on a flat roof. You can't put tiles on a flat roof. So any roof that has less than what we call a 2% grade, we'll call it, then you cannot use it. You have to use something like this. So a shed, a patio cover, these are perfectly fine. Commercial buildings, I did a 30,000 square foot warehouse the other day, has this kind of roofing on it. So it's not like a substandard roof. It's used all the time. So we have newer materials for flat roofs though, especially for commercial product. You've seen this, they spray on a foam covering. That's pretty good because you add a little bit of insulation value, and then they have these other materials. They have fancy chemical names, and they're more like a vinyl. So a lot of the new houses, like up at the Ridges and the Summit, and out here in Henderson, they have any flat part of the roofs, they use this kind of a thing. And it's called TPO. So it's like thermopolyolene or something like that. It has a strange chemical name, but those are really good roofs. All right, so I bring up roofs just because they get neglected a lot. Here's another thing that gets neglected. I actually have 2 sets of air filters in my truck out here in the parking lot because I haven't been running my air for the last, I don't know, month or so. But I know that this week it's going to start being used a lot. If you run your air conditioner even for a day or 2 without the filter on it, that's not good. So you know those fins that can get bent, like when you were a kid, you probably bent them. I know I did, I was a bad kid on the outside. So these little fins are very easy to bend over, but this is what happens when an AC is neglected, when it doesn't have a filter or it's not changed often enough. And then you're trying to force air through there, right? So it cannot absorb the heat. And so your machine is straining, it's going to overheat, it's going to cause other parts of it to fail if it doesn't fail itself. And so this is so cheap I remember air filters used to be like 99 cents, and now they're like $6 a piece, but anyway, it's still worth it. I don't recommend changing it every month, but you need to change it, like I said, I haven't run my AC for months in my house, so it would be silly to just change it, it hasn't even been running.
Would you
But
say
yeah.
every 2 to 3 months?
I would
then?
say, yeah, every 2 to 3, Like-
For like betterment?
yeah.
Do you, what about if you have more than one air conditioning? Does that affect how many times you should?
No,
change
I do them both at the same time, or else I forget.
Yeah.
Right. I did a house, it had 18 air conditioners.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
man, they need to, I mean, these
A
people,
house?
it was a 20,000 square foot house, so,
Oh, okay.
so they had, I mean, I'm sure they had people to do it, right? But, so for me, I'm the people who does mine, but, you know,
What kind of filters do you recommend? I was told like the really super thick ones put more of a strain on your AC.
I would
than
agree with
the
that.
medium.
I would agree with that, because your machine was designed by an engineer, and they know exactly how much, you know,
Intake.
air is coming through there, and they how many amps it's drawing on your motor, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things are spec'd out. I just use the basic ones at Costco, you know, not the absolute cheapest ones,
Right.
but I use the corrugated
Same
ones.
here.
And then, sometimes they have those, fiber spun ones that you can reuse. You have to take them out and hose them off.
Yes,
You know, those are cool. I think, but the key is don't run it without. Like if you walk into a house and there's not one in there, that could be a really, I teach a class called red flags. That's a red flag. Now, sometimes the thing that you're looking at in the ceiling doesn't have one, but there's still a filter somewhere else in the system. It's worth asking, right? If you're with a buyer and you're like, yeah, we really like this house, you're like, oh crap, there's no air filter. Because it's like, maybe the renters there or something. It's worth asking. Maybe there's a filter somewhere else. But most of the time, if there's not one right there in the hallway, that
Yeah, because
is
sometimes
not good news.
in the master bedroom, there's an intake, but.
Yeah, it's a jumper.
Yeah, it's not a removable thing, and
Right,
there's no
it's just to
filter
balance
there.
the airflow. Like, so right now, we're in this room, and your air is cranking, I gotta say. It is cold. And
Right, feels
the
great.
only air that can get back,
Thank you, Brad.
I don't know if that might be a return there. But imagine if this were the bedroom, the only way the air gets back is under the door. So you've all been in that house where you're starting to close the door, and when it gets really close, it goes, right? So they put sometimes a jumper, so it just, you
And
know,
those don't need filters.
no. No, it's just to equalize the air pressure from one room to the hallway.
Why did, have you ever, I see a lot of houses where they have that return
Yeah?
and or their air coming out right near a thermostat, and then it causes kind of a weird rotation of your air.
A lot of times the
What do you
return
do
is
for-
right by the thermostat,
Yeah,
and they think that that's the best way to do it.
uh-huh.
So I was in a house the other day, it was built by Jim Rhodes
Mm-hmm.
over in Spanish Hills. Nice, big, fancy house, and there was a thermostat here, and then there was a thermostat here. That is unusual, to see two different zones,
Yeah,
right?
Interesting.
But maybe it was just the way the house was designed, I was just I try to figure stuff like that out. Why would they do that?
yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, you want the temperature of the thermostat to be, you know, somewhere insulated. Don't put it on an exterior wall, especially in Vegas. That wall gets hot. That thing will be coming on all the time, and you don't want it to come on. So my father-in-law recently had a remote sensor placed in his master bedroom, because the thermostat was out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And he wanted it more accurately, responsive to his bedroom. So, anyway, ACs, I could go on and on and on about ACs. I've worked on AC systems, I think they're fascinating. I used to do a little demonstration. You ever take a can of dust, what is it, like duster cans? Canned air, thank you. If you take one of those, you hold it upside down and you put the straw in a glass of water, it makes ice. You're like, how could that happen? Because inside that can, it's not that cold, right? But what happens when you spray? When that's what makes it cold. So it evaporates. So we probably all remember physics class. If you take a towel and you put it over the fan, it suddenly it's so much colder because evaporation absorbs heat. Same on your arm. If you put water on your arm and you have your two arms here, and then and a wind is blowing, and any wind at all will cause this one to get really cold for at least as long as it's wet. And I've done this with an infrared camera, and you can see there's like a 15-degree difference between this arm and this arm. And that's the same thing with the can of air. When you're spraying it, it's actually in a liquid form in that can. If you've ever rocked the can back and forth, you can feel it's liquid. And if you press on the lid, it goes out the little nozzle, and it's not liquid anymore, it's a gas. And that's an evaporation. And if you press it on your hand, it gets really cold. So anyway, so that's basically how an air conditioner works. And it goes through those tubes though. It doesn't go into the air, it goes into those tubes. And those tubes are very, very cold. And then the air is flowing across those tubes. That's how you get AC.
And that's the refrigerant then that you're referring to?
Yeah, Freon. We call Freon, but there's so many different Freons now.
Refrigerant.
All these different gases. So everyone knows about R22, right? So this was the old tried and proven refrigerant for many decades. And it's a wonderful material, but maybe not so wonderful for the atmosphere, right? So they banned it, it doesn't get produced anymore. Some guys stockpiled it. I know the two ACs on my house have R22 in them. And when they die, when those units die, I'm gonna get another kind of air conditioner that doesn't use R22. There's 410A, there's all these other variants.
What year did they stop producing that in home built?
You know, she probably knows. What year?
2000 and,
I was gonna say 10, but.
it was 10, well, no, and actually, 10 was, so 20 was when it was officially done. They started the process of banning it.
They started
and
phasing it out.
Phasing it out in 2010, and by 2020, it was like, no more, absolutely not, you can't import it or use it anymore.
But if you had
Unless
some in your
have it.
garage.
If you have it,
Right, and you're okay.
and the technicians have it, they can use it,
Right, so
but
that's
you
why the
can't
price
go
went
out
up.
and get more of it. That's why people stockpile it. It's like liquid gold is really what it is.
Okay, but how about new home built? When
New
they-
home builds do not use it. They have
They use a different
R410A units
Uh-huh.
or other type of alternative refrigerant units. The new builds, yeah.
And when did they start using that?
I don't know for sure, but I bet you new construction, my guess would have been about 4 or 5 years ago. Am I right with that, Lord?
Longer ago, they started
You think
switching
so?
to 410A. You can find 410A refrigerant from 10 years ago even.
Yeah.
And it's good, I mean, but what you noticed, if you noticed, is that the thing on the outside, that big square thing on the outside, the condenser, is larger now.
Yeah.
And that's to create higher efficiency, because it gives you a lot of surface area, right? So, yeah, I could go on and on about air conditioners, like probably bore you. Yeah, and I know that you have a long history.
My old
Yeah, everyone knows what she used to do, right? So, all right, so water heaters. We'll talk a few minutes about water heaters. So, I keep a home warranty on my house, even though I have all new appliances. I moved in 4 years ago, I put all new appliances. People are like, why do you have a home warranty? I go, because I got 2 ACs from the mid-90s, and I got 2 water heaters from whenever. And the minute I drop that home warranty, what happens? Something's gonna break. So I'm like, I'm just keeping them in place. So I have a water heater at my house, and my wife recently told me that the water has a tinge of discoloration to it. Like she fills her white sink and it looks a little brownish. Like, not a good sign. It's not the end of the world, but what it tells me, I need to do maintenance on it. So I need to hook up a hose to the water heater and I need to flush it. And then maybe that's gonna solve my problem. It may not solve the problem, but it may. So what happens when you open that thing up and nothing comes out? It's very common in Vegas. You got to turn the hose on this way and kind of break it up a little bit, get it to flow. And I say, once you reverse this and you drain it into a 5-gallon bucket, you'll be surprised what you see in there. It's basically minerals, and this is what it looks like if you cut it open. So any water heater in Vegas that's more than, I would say, 7, 8 years old is gonna look a lot like this. So have you ever taken a, like a Pyrex saucepan and you're gonna boil some water and you forgot and it boiled it all the way down and it dried up? What's the glass look like? It's all white and crusty. And that's just what? A few ounces of water. Can you imagine what tens of thousands of gallons of water over and over and over getting heated and, so that's what this is, an accumulation of those minerals. Our water here is super hard. 35 years ago, I used to sell water softening and filtering equipment, and I used to install it. And I learned all about that. And we had to do a home water test people's water for how much total dissolved solids they had in their water. And at that time, it was 400 or 500 particles total dissolved solids. And now I think it's even higher. I mean, look at our source. It's mostly the lake, and it's very, very high in minerals. You go to a place like New York City, their water's not hard. They drink water out of the tap. You know that? I'm from Pennsylvania. Same thing. There's areas of the country where the water is. They don't walk around with bottles of water everywhere. They just drink it out of the tap because it's good, and they consider they have pride in it. So anyway, so that is a cutout of a water heater.
So Larry, how often do you recommend draining that water heater? Or do you just wait till water gets brown?
You're supposed to do it every year. I've done it once. So, because we have this like throwaway mentality. We just, water heaters, I've replaced over 40 water heaters myself. And I just go to Home Depot and buy one and put it in. It takes me 45 minutes. Well, nowadays, I think they're expensive now. It used to be like $350 to buy a gas water heater, and now it's like $800 just for the parts. So.
How long is it supposed to last if you care for
one? I tell people moving here from out of state, expect the warranty's 6 years. So that tells you one thing, right? I say 7 to 15 years on the water heater.
Wow.
Once in a while, I get a picture from one of my guys. Hey, check this out. Send me a picture. It's a water heater that's more than 20 years old.
I have one that's more than 20 years.
Yeah. So once in a while, it's a novelty though in our business.
It is. Yeah, I don't.
It still
But
works,
this is
you mean,
our
it's
most-
fast.
Yeah, it still works. Everything's fine. It still works. So it's a fluke. It's yeah. They just
Do electric ones last longer than gas?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I figured.
Is yours electric? Yeah.
So that's a good thing too, like if you're showing your clients a property and that water heater is old, you almost wanna say to them like, this is good water heater, this thing has been here 20 years. That's not a scary thing, it's lasted that long, this thing is still doing very well.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Right?
that means they're.
If you ever
Like,
walk past one, it's
Like,
clicking.
just because it's older and he's saying that they only last now around 7 years, but if you see that one that's 20 years old, that's past that life expectancy, and it's still working, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
they're built better back then than they are now.
Makes sense.
You'd want to make that representation.
Right.
I
I have.
don't want them to be scared
So
and
I-
say, we want a
Request
water
for a new
heater.
one.
I lived in you know what Sproul home builders
Yes,
were?
I'm in contact with one.
So I lived on John Glenn Circle for 26 years. So it's over there by Hush Puppies on West Charleston.
Yummy.
and Antelope.
Yeah?
So when I bought that house, I bought it in 1990 or 91. And my son, who is now 31, lives there. He owns it. He bought it from us because he wanted to live there. He bought it. We practically gave it to him. But anyway, and I have a grandson, so that's fine. So in that house, it's the two-story, 4-bedroom unit. I have an original air conditioner from 1974 on that house. So when the yes man comes to your client's door telling them that their units are obsolete and they must be replaced, despite the fact that they're working, you can just tell them to go to hell, because that's a salesman. That's not it's not an honest opinion.
Got it.
So of course it will be more efficient than a 20-year-old unit, right? Of course. And then same thing with a water heater. Yeah, of course, a brand new unit's gonna be more efficient and won't have electrode on the bottom of it. But, all right, so it needs some maintenance. So, which brings us to this. One of the ways to preserve the life of a water heater is they have this thing built in, it's called an anode rod. This is an anode rod replacement that I got at Home Depot for my little project that I'm gonna be doing. Now, what this is metal. It's called a sacrificial metal, sacrificial anode rod. You put this in the tank, and now this is a softer metal or more easily attacked by the minerals of our water than the parts of your water heater. So you don't want the parts of your water heater being rusted. You would rather give it something else that it would much more easily chew up. So this is what they look like after they've been in there a while, and this is what a brand new one looks like. And you know why it does this? Is where's the water heater? It's either in the garage or it's in the closet. How are you gonna pull this out of the top of it? You're gonna hit the ceiling. So you break this, and they're held together with a cable, and so now it's like nunchucks.
Oh, wow.
And so you can slip this in, you can break it, but there's a cable, you slide it in, you break this one, you slide it in, so that's why they're designed like this.
So do they automatically come with one of those, or that's something
Yes,
you
they
have
come
to
with-
buy?
They come with one when they're brand new, but imagine it's been in there for a number of years, it's gone.
Dissolved.
Okay.
It has been, and now so that's what I'm thinking is going on with mine.
Okay.
So yes, it's probably full of sediment, and number two, the anode is probably gone.
So you just put, it's not you take the old one out, it's
Yes.
eaten.
Yes.
So
Well,
you're-
I'll take out what's left of it.
Oh, you take the out.
It'll be some state of this.
Okay.
So you're planning on draining your water heater and
I'm
replacing
not gonna drain
that?
it, I'll flush it. Yeah, I guess you're draining it, but I wanna drain it while the water's on, and that forces it out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna flush it, I'm gonna put this thing in there, and, see what happens. I mean, it's not gonna last forever.
Is it standard for all type of brands or?
Yeah, they're pretty universal. I went to Home Depot for this one, it was the only one they had.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that this is just a 3/4 inch common thread. I'm just gonna put a socket on there, crank it out. We'll see what happens. I'll make a video. You know, if it's successful, you'll see it. But
Would the elements get harmed if you drain it while the heating mechanism is on?
I'm gonna turn it down to vacation mode,
Okay,
but probably, yeah, you wouldn't want it to get all hot and dried up,
no,
so.
I've never done it.
Don't do it till
I really
after
don't
they're
wanna do
done.
it.
But this is super simple. I think this was 20-something bucks. And we'll see what happens. I paid a plumber once to do that for me on another property, and, but I've never done it myself. All right, so, one last comment. Water heaters, if you hear one popping like popcorn, it's probably full of rocks. So if someone's in the house running it, and then you're walking past it and your hair going, that's probably a good sign that it's full of stuff.
So it's gonna
So,
explode.
it should be drained, it won't explode.
Yeah,
I do have a video of Mythbusters of one exploding. I do that in my class.
But it might fail very shortly after.
It could fail, but again, there's fluke water heaters out there that just run and run and run. And,
I had one that literally broke after the close, in between inspection. I'm like, it
it's
worked,
amazing.
didn't it?
You know, it's amazing what we see.
Jeez. It was like the high-end one with the fan on it.
Yeah, those are not cheap. So, excuse me, what we see in this business, right? So, it's August, everything is progressing through escrow. The day before the walkthrough, the buyers show up, they're all happy, AC's not working. How many, you've probably seen that 1,000
Oh,
times,
I'm
right?
just sitting
But-
here through your whole presentation.
But
going, oh my God.
all of us, or they show up and the water heaters drain water down the garage. These things happen, right? And paranoid people are like, oh, the home inspector did it. Oh, the seller sabotaged it because they don't want it to go through. No, that's not what happened.
Right.
Stuff breaks, man. It just breaks sometimes. And it's not their fault.
Right.
But I have a son, a newer agent, and that exactly happened to him. People walked in for their walkthrough, AC wasn't blowing cold. The buyer's agent claimed that they sabotaged it. It's like, that's the last thing he wanted to do. He wants his commission check.
Another thing I saw a lot was that, the walkthrough, but also once ownership changed, so the power and a lot of stuff
Everything
gets
is shut down, turned back
And
on.
then a few days later,
Yeah.
they try to turn everything on.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing affects the system more than the shutdown and the turn back
Right.
on. So many.
So
Yeah.
true.
Even like with
Right after
plumbing,
you know, escrow. Yep.
we've seen that happen with plumbing,
Here's the
like,
keys, sorry.
yeah, little like those little mineral things, they get forced through and the hot water doesn't work anymore now in the master shower. It's like, I saw one stop in front of my eyes. I was in a vacant house, and I'm running it. Okay, good, take out my temperature gun, running the cold, good, switch it to hot, hot's running, all of a sudden it goes, and then it goes to a drip. I went, oh my God, right in front of my eyes it happened. So I know it happens because so many times we've run into the no hot water thing, with that valve. Did you know that Moen will replace that valve for free to the homeowner? If you say, hey, I've got this shower and suddenly I got no hot water, they'll say, take a picture of it, I've done it. You send it to them, they'll send you a $35 valve for free.
Wait, what do they do?
They'll send you the cartridge,
Really?
a replacement cartridge for free.
I've replaced 3 more cartridges,
I know,
like in the last year, at like,
but they'll do it if you still have them.
no,
Okay.
2 more.
So a plumber will charge you, I don't know, $100, $150 to do it, plus the part
It was
is
like
30
$200.
something. Yeah. So a little tip, Moen
So
will give
wait,
it to
you're
you for
saying
free.
send the cartridge back to Moen?
Yeah.
And they'll send you a new one?
I think they'll even do it with a photo. If you go to the Moen website and you fill it out, I think is what I did, and I just had to send them a photo, and they sent me 2 cartridges.
Do you have to have the date that you bought the original faucet?
I told them that I bought the house 4 years ago, and they didn't ask me anything else about it.
Awesome. What about the
It
windows
was cool.
replaced? I mean,
Yeah, I thought it was totally responsible, because they know that this is an issue in Vegas.
Oh.
This is a terrible issue here. I mean, remember when we had all those vacant houses? This was the #1 thing that we ran into was no hot water, because if you use it constantly, every day, every other day, they work fine. And the same thing happens when we're doing a home inspection on a big house of empty nesters. Well, the last time little Jesse was here home from college, that shower worked fine. What do you mean the home inspector broke it? No, he didn't break it. He was just the first guy to turn it on in 6 months, right? So anyway, plumbing is funny, especially when you're dealing with this hard water here. And water softeners tend to help, but they're not, they're not for everyone. All right, so one of the #1 things we hear about, especially with new builds, is cracks and gaps, things like that. So, what we tell people? It's going to crack eventually, even a new build. In a year or 2, you're going to see little gaps and cracks, and you just need to recall. I mean, it's a DIY thing. It doesn't cost you anything. And if your house is drafty or dusty, look at the windowsills. All right, so this is a little thing that has saved my butt. It's really loud. So what you do is you put one of these under the sink. In the kitchen, in the bathroom, put one behind the toilet, and they cost $5. They got a little battery in there, a 9-volt battery. It lasts for many, many years. But I bought a set of these because I put in brand new cabinets at my house, and home inspector, I see what happens, right? Get a leak and ruins the cabinet. I put the stuff in there, and I forgot all about it. Well, one day I heard this alarm, and I think it's a smoke alarm, and my wife are walking all over. We can't find the damn thing. We're like, shit. So finally, we narrow it down. Oh, it's the island under the disposal. The disposal was dripping.
Sweet.
And luckily, this thing caught it before it ruined my cabinet. About a month later, hear it again. This time it's behind the toilet. That little angle valve was dripping. And it got all down the tile, and it was just making its way into the hardwood floor, and we heard this thing and stopped it. So this little thing has saved my butt twice.
That's a great gift for house.
I was just gonna say that.
A housewarming gift.
So a housewarming gift. Now, mine are a little old school. They have newer ones now that are cooler.
That just happened after a closing. They had toilet leak. So the seller had to do a $10,000, right? Because it went all night and it went all through the wall, the drywall, right?
But it was after closing?
After closing. Well, no, after, in between the closing and
okay.
the inspection.
Yeah, now if nobody's home and this thing's beep, beep, beep.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't help you, unless
Morning
you get the
time.
newer ones that are Wi-Fi enabled.
Exactly, I was gonna
So
say.
now, you get one and it beeps and it rings your phone and it tells you, hey, you assigned it a number.
Yeah.
Number 1, master bathroom, blah, 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 right? And then if you're not home, you can call somebody, hopefully to get over there and fix it.
Yeah.
So the nice clients get this one, the shitty clients get the
But
other.
they're so cheap, look. So,
What are they called? What are those?
moisture sensor, moisture sensor, leak detector. So I saw so the other day I was leaving my neighborhood and I saw all this water running down the street, right? And again, I remember the guy's presentation. I'm like, what's going on here? Water running down the street. And there was a pipe out of my neighbor's backyard, just tremendous amount of water. Like, I parked the truck, I looked over the wall. His whole backyard was full of water. It's a half an acre lot full of water.
Oh, no.
I ran up to the front door and, we say hi to each other, but we don't really know each other. They'd be like, hey, what's going on? I go, your backyard's full of water. He went, oh, he left the hose on or something. So I was the moisture detector, for this guy. But it probably was running all night long.
Did a pipe break or the hose?
I didn't even ask him, but I think he left the hose on. By judging by the reaction on his face,
Oh.
yeah.
Ouch.
That's what I think happened. But these things, so I'm gonna upgrade. I wanna get one that will tell me what's going on.
Can you put these things on the walls or
No,
on
it
the
has to
roof
be,
to check
You
if
probably
there's
could,
anything
but
or
you'd
not?
have to figure out like maybe some Velcro or something. But here's how they
Are they
work.
battery operated?
This is, yeah, it's 9 volt, look.
That's what I was gonna do, like, what if the battery runs out? 9 volt, like it?
It'll last so long.
Yeah.
But this thing has to be in contact with the moisture.
Wow.
So as soon as that thing, so if it's resting on the ground, and if you have it upside down, you're SOL, man.
So you put that $5 in your closing gift, and then you buy those for your house?
Yeah.
Right? It's just the idea, just
Yeah.
giving people the idea.
And it will work. I mean, we have all
Yeah.
seen in the home inspection report, the home inspector looks under the cabinet. What's it look like most of the time? It's got blisters, stains, and it's probably fine. But sometimes they make a big deal about it.
Well, this would have helped me, because after we were during a transaction, the sink had been leaking over years and years, and prior to my people living there, it had been going on. And it was a $10,000 mold repair, the last presentation we did, listen to, I went through that with my seller. And so then, in the end, both agents had to give up a tremendous amount of money. It was like the third thing that in order to get the deal to go through, she had to give up her commission,
I
they
hate
had to
that.
give up their commission.
What?
It wasn't happening,
I
it
know
was
it happens.
horrible. And it was all because the water under, and it wasn't like a flash flood, it was just,
Slowly
water
dripping.
slowly dripping, and it caused mold, and then it was black mold, and then they had to rip out the divider wall and
Was it,
all the cabinets.
was it
Well, why
Nevada
did
Mold
you
Test?
guys have
Was that who was here?
Finish it up.
The guy you were telling me about earlier?
Whoever
Was it Dennis
there.
Yeah,
Whitaker?
it was Dennis.
Okay, yeah.
So it happened, so
Good
now
friend of
we're
mine,
doing
also a
very
master
well.
inspector, by the way, one of the 7.
You're a master inspector?
Yeah, I am, but also the guy that was doing the whole presentation is Dennis Whitaker.
Yeah.
I had him give us the presentation to the Association of Home Inspectors. Okay, another pro tip. Boom, sink mat.
Oh, WeatherTech, yeah, I saw that.
So I have one, I think mine's a WeatherTech. I have a picture of mine.
These are great gifts.
These are great, these are not cheap, believe it or not. This thing's like $35, and you have to have the measurements.
Oh.
So this is the one I have at my house. And I like the ones with a good lip of at least an inch, because if you're not home and it's leaking. So I got this thing inside, back here in the back corner, behind the RO. So my last house, the one with the 1974 air conditioner, my son lives there. I hired a carpenter and he did new baseboards all around. We went away for the weekend, we came home, the house was under an inch of water. All the baseboards went, and I was just so bummed. You know what it was? It was a tube from the RO. So, wasn't in all the way or something, it was starting to leak. I did a home inspection for a friend of my daughter's. He's an anesthesiologist. He was buying a house out in Southern Highlands on the other side of the mountain. Like if you're going out I-15 south, you pass Southern Highlands, you pass St. Rose, it's that little community right on the other side. And he had that mountain right in his backyard. Beautiful home. And everyone was in there working on it, finishing it, getting ready for his walkthrough, which was the next day. And I walked in with one of my guys, and we're doing our inspection. There's guys everywhere, finishing it up, cleaning. I opened up the island sink, and it was this much water under there. It was like this. And I said, hey, come over here, cabinet guy. And he looked at it and got on the radio. Pretty soon the entire cul-de-sac was full of trucks, because they're supposed to close the next day. And there's like 11 guys, you know, all these bosses. They couldn't close. The entire island, it was one of these giant islands, 10 feet wide, you know, it was all squishy, like you kick on it.
Oh,
and so they had to rip it all out. And it was the RO tube. It was the tube for an RO wasn't pushed in all the way.
What's the, I'm sorry,
The reverse osmosis, the drinking water thing.
Ah. Which are not water efficient.
Right.
You would waste 3 gallons to make 1 gallon.
It is true, it is true. But, so I use this thing, and I use this thing, because I know, man, I've seen it so many times.
Well, the laundry room is like the story, right? I've had
Yeah.
2 friends that went away for vacation, the laundry
And the
room,
drain too.
the hose, and
Yeah.
that's a really, so you can add that to your unit, the hose, you get the copper hoses for the
Yeah,
laundry.
the braided, the steel braided hoses.
Yeah, steel braided, and,
Yeah.
and that, you just change those, and then,
Right.
because when that goes, it's a tremendous amount
Yeah,
of
so
water
everyone, so
rushing
they
into
say
the-
you're supposed to shut off the water
Yeah.
valves to your washer. Who does that?
Right.
I've never done it.
What? Yeah, no.
When you're not using your washer, you're supposed to shut off the water to it.
If you leave for the week.
But nobody does.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you leave for a week, and that hose is constantly under pressure, and they pop loose, and they spring
So I had
glue
2
to it.
friends that the entire first floor, the base were at 6 and 9 inches. They were gone in the middle of the summer. They went to California.
That's always when it happens.
For 2 weeks, it was humidity, and all the way, one of them was 3 feet up the wall, the entire
Yeah.
first floor.
Oh my
It better be on the
goodness.
SRPD. That's all I
Nightmare.
can say.
Because the water was only this high, but because of the moisture and the humidity, it like crawled up. So they ended up having to replace 3 feet around their entire room, all their cabinets, all their, it was all.
All right, so this is the number 1 cause of home fire for our event. You just get one of these tools, you unhook it, you know, it's no tools even really needed. It's a little spring that you can close with your thumb and forefinger. You pull it off, you dry it all the way, clean it, you're good to go. Or you can hire a handyman. There's a handyman, a guy named On Time Handyman, and he'll come, I think it's, I don't know, I wanna say $65 or something like that. And they'll run it all the way up through the ceiling, through wherever it exists.
What is the name of the dump?
On Time. On Time Handyman. The owner's name is George Netto, Neddo. Actually, I'll give you his phone number. And pretty cheap. He's got a small crew of guys, and
So it's not just the outlet, it's all the way up through it?
yeah, you want to clean it out. I mean, usually it's the dirtiest right next to the laundry room. So George Netto, On Time Handyman, 702-826-1126. On Time Handyman. So, yeah, he's helped me out before. Okay, there's a reason why these things turn yellow. It's not from smoking. Anyone guess? Too old. Too old. They just get old, and it's somewhat part of the design. When you see them this old, you should replace them. They only have a 10-year lifespan. So if you're in a house on West Charleston and Rainbow, where my old house is, and you see a bunch of these, actually, back then they didn't even put them in the bedrooms, they just put them in the hallways.
Right.
So if you see one of those, it should be replaced.
Do you have a recommendation when they're in a really awkward, difficult spot
Yes.
to change them out? Like,
could
like
move
we
it.
have one in our staircase,
Yeah.
and you'd have to get a ladder and go on an angle,
Oh,
and how do you,
I got you.
Yeah.
how do you
Or we
change
have the
something like
super
that?
vaulted high ceilings. and
Right, the
it
vaulted
goes
ceilings.
way up in the-
So there's a lot of building code and fire safety code regarding these things. So if you're so now we all know they need to be in the bedrooms and the common hallway. But if the hallway changes more than 18 inches in elevation, it has to be another one. And if it changes again, there has to be another one, you know? So maybe it's in that spot for a reason. We'll have to just assume that the engineers did their job,
But that's one of those things that would be good to be able to share with a client if they have that if it starts to beep,
yeah, what are they
what
gonna
are
do?
they gonna do?
Ours always beeps in our bedroom at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Yes.
bedroom is
Isn't that
empty,
weird?
but
It's all
those
the
weird
same thing.
spots.
It's like
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to send somebody for that.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to have to call an electrician, but you need somebody who's licensed and insured to get on those weird angles off of ladders to do that sort of thing. So even like a handyman, they're licensed and insured. You have to make sure that they are, right? But if you hire a licensed electrician to do it, it's gonna be $300. If you hire a handyman, it might be $100, right?
Yeah.
So as long as they're insured and they're not gonna sue your homeowner's insurance if they get hurt in your house, that's what you wanna be careful of. Okay, so the number one thing that breaks on a home inspection is the garage door. Sometimes it's just the last guy to use it didn't notice that it was making a funny noise, and then the next guy who comes in, he presses that button, boom, it breaks. So I have a guy who works for me, and I was telling you earlier, he has a CMA, Country Music Award. So he was a country music guy many, many years ago. He won the best video of the year. If anybody knows country music from that era, he had a hit song called Cowboy Cadillac. And his name is Jim Wise, and he's one of my inspectors, the sweetest guy in the world. He used to go out with Patricia Yearwood. Garth Brooks is a good friend of his. He knows all of those guys. Anyway, this guy worked for me for like 6 months before I ever knew this about him. Because he's a humble person. He's a really great guy. He's in his home, and he's with the homeowner who had rented the house out for the last 2 years, but she was there because she was selling it and was getting inspected. And it had a 2-car garage door and a 1-car garage door. And he already tested the 2-car garage door, and there's a 1-car garage door over there, and she's standing right next to the button. He goes, "Hey, does this one work?" She goes, "Oh yeah, it works." And she pressed the button and opened the door. And it's fine, cool. He had it on video, and he took it. Okay, thank you very much. He took a couple pictures of the spring and the motor, and then he was going to see if it closes, right? We have to test it to make sure it closes properly. He pressed the button, and it got halfway, and it started binding, and a window popped and broke glass all over the place.
Oh no.
And so he called me. He's like, "Larry, this never happened to me. What do I do?" And I go, "Well, is the homeowner still there?" He goes, yeah, she's the one who opened it." I went, "She opened it? Oh, okay. Well, just go in there and tell her what happened." And so he told her, and of course she was in a huff. "Oh, you broke my door, right?" I was like, "Oh." Well, luckily he had his video on.
Oh.
So I drive across town, right? I'm gonna calm everybody down. I'm like, "Okay, Jim, tell me what happened." He told me what happened. I'm looking at the video. I'm like, "You can see in the video, Mrs. Seller, that he was nowhere near the door when this happened. He just pressed the button, and as he was walking towards the door, it popped and there's glass, and he backs away from the
Oh,
glass."
it's all on the video?
You know, and she's like, "Oh, okay." Like, had he not had that video, we would have had a fight.
So now you have to start wearing body cam when you do inspections?
You jest, but I bought a body cam. And I
Seriously?
tested it. It was too jaggedy. I put it on one of my guys, and it, because it comes up. Sometimes you walk into a room and you turn the light on, and it's bright for a really split second, and it goes out. Did you break the light? No, the bulb burned out. It happens, right? Sometimes the spring or the cable gets tangled up, not through any fault of yours. If you're operating something the normal way you operate it, if I press this mouse button and suddenly the little lever breaks off, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just using it the way you normally expect to use it. So we say, failed upon testing, is how we say it. And of course there's pushback sometimes. But if people neglect their maintenance, their wheels, I mean, this wheel's gonna go eventually. It might last another year, it might last 2 years. This is gonna show up right away.
So I had on my 50th birthday, we were on vacation in Hawaii, and my garage door failed, so my house sitter couldn't get in my house to take care of my dog. So we went through this, but he said, I think he said your either rollers or cables. He's like, you really need to get those replaced. And of course I'm like, God damn it, I don't really want to spend money, but he's told me like 3 times now, so do I need to replace
I used to be the guy who did all that stuff myself, but you know what I do now? I just call a guy. I called it, I think cactus garage doors.
So he's not lying.
So I called cactus, no, he's absolutely right. So these are the things that get neglected in the house, the roof, the water heater, and the garage door. And hey, those are the three things I got it right. We don't like to hear it, but it is the truth.
Well, cause he replaced the whole unit, right, so it costs all this money, but he's like, but.
I just had mine
I need to
tuned
go
up.
back to replace these other things.
I have really old
Right.
Genie
It's like, oh.
garage door openers.
Right,
But when they start sounding funny, I know something's wrong, so I go looking, oh, this is loose, or this is that, or oh, got a broken spring. You gotta have a garage door to a spring. You don't wanna do the spring yourself.
no.
And
Do
one
you
of
have
those
his number?
cables,
Do you have his number?
cactus, I
Yeah.
probably do have his number.
A1 is really good too.
A1 is good too. I was gonna make a slide with A1 and cactus in it.
Yeah, they're great.
So A1 and cactus is there's another, place
But
that.
I didn't realize when I replaced the motor, I didn't realize, and I paid all the money, I didn't realize that all those other things were additional
Right.
parts that were separate. So I
Cactus,
just
702-870.
No, it's not just the motor, it's all. those other things, too.
7454. Nobody there knows me, I'm just a customer, but
Yeah.
I liked the work that they do, and I see their sign, their little sticker on a lot of
Yeah,
doors.
they helped me for,
870-7454. You like them?
I do,
Yeah.
yeah,
Are they one of your,
they were, yeah,
okay.
and they came out and did my springs. And
I was in a,
I felt confident when they were going out.
So when you see a piece of 2x4 on a modern steel door, it's a repair, right? They're trying to fix something. Yeah, so we see this all the time. Now, if you look real closely, this is a strut, this is called a strut, and there's a little rip in that strut. And so that's probably why they thought they needed to do that. What they really need to do is replace this. And then this is a spring. If you're ever near a spring when it breaks, it's super loud and very scary. I was in a garage once when one broke at a friend of the house, and we both were basically hands and feet on the floor because we thought we were being bombed. I mean, we didn't know what it was, and it was terrible. And then we finally figured it out, it was the spring. Then we laughed, and that cool. That's a strut. Super cheap, easy to deal with. I watched a video this morning of a guy changing one out. It was like 5 minutes. It cost, last time I bought one, was $15. So the reason I tell you this is because you're gonna see in your reports, hey, the garage door is integrity of however the guys try to sound it. Basically, there's something wrong with the garage door. Maybe it just needs a strut, right? And sometimes these things are super easy, sometimes they're DIY worthy, do it yourself, sometimes not. So I have a bathroom in my house that I never use. And I went in there the other day because my wife was blow drying her hair in ours. And I hit the handle. Last time I was in there, it worked perfectly. And this thing broke loose. So I went to Home Depot. These are, if you buy one of them, it's like $3.50. So I had to shut off the toilet because this thing was broken. And so when somebody says, oh, it needs a new flapper, that's all it is. The entire flush valve, all the guts inside of the toilet, $15 to $30. And that's really DIY stuff. So when you see, a problem with the toilet, usually it's a flapper. If they're running, it's running occasionally or intermittently or constantly. It's probably this. It could be the float. Another thing, this thing was like $3. You got a sink and it's not draining properly. And they got all different kinds of styles. I got 2 of them. So if you have on your report that, hey, the tub or the shower or the sink was slow to drain, we recommend calling the plumber. Well, try this first, right? And if they want to see the receipt, just show them a video of the thing draining. It's like, hey, it was a hair clog. You don't need this. If all the drains in the whole house are flowing really well, but there's only one that doesn't, this is all it is. And this is simple. You just stick it down there and spin it a little bit and pull it out. Gets all the hair.
Is that drain opener?
It is a drain unclogger, but it's not chemical. So this, I think, was $2.97. And this one, that comes with a disposal bag, it was maybe $4. But these sometimes, like if you imagine if you did a little package of these things, this, you know, people like that kind of stuff. I would, even that little tray that goes under the sink, if you had one measured out, I mean, there's only a few basic sizes, but I think those go a long way because they're gonna sit there for years. And it may never catch a drop of water, but the time that they do, like I was super thankful, like these, I'm like, maybe I wasted my money when I bought them. But then when they popped, I was so gratified that, like, hey, that was a good investment. Anyway, that's about it for my presentation, but I wanted to say if you have any questions about your home inspections, or if you're listing, you're preparing a house for listing, you can always call me and ask me. I stayed today because this was on my calendar today. My family left for Big Bear this morning, and I'm gonna meet them there. But I will still be able to answer my phone, and I'm bummed I'm gonna miss happy hour.
Last Friday of every month. And
Be here
you
next
are
month.
invited. All right, thank you, Larry. All right, thank you all so much. I know it went long, and we have a very busy day. But remember, no matter how you slice it, greatness is a choice. Let's go out there and be great. That was a great presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Has he ever